Hello, dreamers and thinkers, and welcome back to another episode of Undone. If you don't already, go follow the podcast page. It is at undone.thepodcast. Up until now, I've kind of just been recording things that I feel need to be discussed or things that I felt on my heart to talk about that week. But I'd love to hear more of what you guys want to hear. If there are any guests that you guys want me to invite back on, if you know any guests or would like to be a guest, send me a DM and we will get that happening. But for this week's episode, I had my beautiful friend Rebecca join me, and we discussed what her relationship with food has looked like. We discussed how she used health and fitness to kind of regain her mental health, but how that kind of took a twist and turn and led to her learning more than she had bargained for, and just the lessons that she's learned along the way. Her story is a bit of an interesting one, and I really think you guys will enjoy. Guys, welcome, my little blonde bombshell, my little Dr. Dolittle, my favorite American, kind of, not really, back. Say what up.
Guys, what an intro.
I was just really most excited to call you Dr. Dolittle because I thought of that in the kitchen.
I know. I think I felt the excitement from here.
Yes. I was like, that is exactly what you are. Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a 23-year-old short blonde.
This sounds like a dating app.
Yes. I like long walks on the beach, and I was born and raised in Sydney, Australia, moved to New York City, well, Brooklyn more specifically, when I was 12 years old, have lived there for the past 10 years, and then moved back to Townsville, Australia, aka the middle of nowhere, to
tropical North Queensland. Thank you very much.
Middle of nowhere. I stand by my statement. I moved back to pursue my degree in veterinary science. So when she says Dr. Dolittle, it's because I'm a pending vet.
Yes. Okay, I wanted to do rapid fire. So we're going to start with, what's your favorite food?
Sweet potato.
Oh, yes. Okay, I should have known that. What's one thing you can't live without in terms of spices? Oh, yes.
Cinnamon.
That's because you put it on your sweet potato, huh? Should have known.
Exposed.
One food that you dislike that people commonly love?
Cheese.
I really thought you were going to say bread then, because I kind of set you up to say bread, but cheese too. That's not
cheese. Cheese. That stuff's.
Our friendship nearly ended over this, so we're going to move on. What is one thing that's on your I want to learn how to make this at home list? Chick-fil-A sauce for me. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah, I was actually going to say something like a Chick-fil-A sauce, or I don't know, just like some fancy pastry, like just to say that I could be like, I could make it.
But I swear you don't like pastries.
I don't mind them, but like to say that I can make them, that's the goal. Like to be the domestic princess that can just be like, I made you some choux pastry with a side of Chick-fil-A sauce.
I make my own croissants. Welcome to brunch.
I'm practically French.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that was the end of the rapid fire questions. We're going to get started into the official part. So my first question for you is, describe what your relationship with food is like, or has been, just from as early as you can remember till now.
Well, currently it's the love of my life. It is the only man in my life, just being in my life that I really prioritize. But in a more serious note, I think food, when I was young and reckless, it was, we always were taught, eat whatever's on your plate. It was a form of respect to whoever was cooking. It was something that mum and dad really just kind of imparted in us. And I've kept that throughout my life. That is something that I always do. If you are given something, you eat it. It's just a respect thing.
I was gonna ask, because I feel like a lot of what we're taught and learn from family really plays a really big role in your relationship with food. Which is probably my problem of like why I don't know when I'm full, because it's like, oh, but there's still food on the plate. So obviously I'm not full yet. Like,
gotta help. Like, obviously I'm being disrespectful at this point. So
right.
But yeah, so like that was the thing. And then mum and dad always brought us up cooking. It was never like dad was the cook, mum was the baker. It was always flip-flop. Like dad was the baker, mum was the cook, and we would just help out in the kitchen whenever they needed. And then that was, just life. And then I moved to America, and everything's dirt cheap. Like you get a slice of pizza for $1, a bagel with cream cheese for $1, cup of noodles for $1. I lived a good teenage life. I was
all my favorite things were cheap.
Yeah, literally, it was like I swam in a high school varsity swimming team, and after practice every day we would have like 3 or 4 Pop-Tarts, and we would call them post-practice Pop-Tarts, and it was swimmer's appetite. You would just go ham, and you're like, no regrets. It was amazing.
This is fantastic. I love all of it.
Yeah. And then I went to university for a couple of years in the States, and I was at one of the best dining universities that would have like
such a
sushi.
weird flex.
It's a weird flex, but I don't think you see the parallel between disgusting and really good until you've been to a university that has really crappy dining. Like my sister, her university dining, they would call it a chicken sandwich. It was legitimately a bun, a chicken nugget, another bun, and that was dinner. Whereas my university had a sushi bar, a stir-fry bar that was made to order. It had breakfast pizza, like everything that you can imagine it had.
Okay, yeah. Okay, makes sense. I see that.
Yeah. Like the options were literally endless, and everything was open 24 hours. Like the dining commons were open 24 hours, so you would just swipe in, and it was buffet style. You go ham, and we did. Trust me.
That's problematic, though, isn't it?
That's why what we call the freshman 15 is a thing. Freshman 15 being you gain 15 pounds your freshman year because you have no idea what endless resources of food looks like. So you're like, I must eat it all. It will end. And so, yeah, I went to that university and absolutely adored it. It's where I decided I wanted to do veterinary science. In the midst of that, though, I kind of went to both extremes. I had the extreme of the first 6 months I was there, it was breakfast pizza every morning. And it was pizza for dinner.
Always.
And it was waffle for lunch.
What do you put on a breakfast pizza?
I don't even know why I ate it because it's not good. I mean, it must have been good because I continued to eat it. But it was scrambled eggs. I guess you can call it sausage, like ground meat. I don't know. Like it's like the kind of sausage you would find on like a meat lover's pizza. Like,
okay. Meat.
Like, is that sausage?
Yeah.
And then there was also like French toast randomly sprinkled on top with like maple syrup drizzled all through it, and you're like, this is so chaotic. Who eats this? And
wait, with the scrambled eggs and the sausage?
Yes, ma'am.
And this was all an actual pizza dough.
This was all on a deep dish pizza.
Deep dish. Oh my God.
You can't hold all of that crap with just a scrawny base. Like, no, you gotta have a vessel for that.
My mind is blown. American culinary is like another level of creativity.
We take it to the next level. So yeah, and then I lived it up. I honestly lived it up. And then I got to kind of the end of my first year the first semester of my first year. And I kind of just took a look at my life after having a bit of, I ended up getting a bit of anxiety, and just my mental health kind of started to deplete at the end of that 6 months. And I had to take the poll of my life and be like, what's not adding up? Like, what are the things right now that I need to work on? And my health was one of them. I went from swimming 5 days a week in high school to barely getting out of bed in university. I went from eating home-cooked meals with real food. I mean, I had the Pop-Tarts, but like I had real food every other time.
Obviously there's vegetables.
Yeah. Like obviously, I just kind of went to like pizza and waffles and like all the good things, which like obviously have their place, but not for every meal of the day for 6 months. And so I guess I kind of devoted my life to flipping that. I wanted to become healthier. I wanted to really kind of gain control of my mental health by my physical health. And I saw that there was a connection. I don't think, looking back on it, I don't think I researched it enough. When I first went into it, I will definitely say that I did not know enough when going into that, how to actually be healthy, but I knew what healthy looked like. I knew the Instagram version of healthy.
Yes.
I knew it looked green. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And
it looked green. It looked strawberry, like just fruit colored.
Like juice.
Yes, acai. We love it. Salad.
Yeah, and avocado. Just like toss an avocado.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, then that second semester of my first year, I really devoted to fixing my life, flipping it. And, yeah, I was doing the Instagram health thing. I was doing the salads every day for lunch and dinner. I was doing breakfast was Greek yogurt with a grapefruit, sometimes just a grapefruit. I was doing, but when I say salad, though, like, you also have to note that the salad that Instagram taught me was leaves, small bit of protein, and some like carrots and tomatoes. They were like no dressings, no fats, no nothing.
No, we don't do dressings because that's extra calories and that carries.
Exactly, you got to save them. But when, I don't know, because you're only eating a damn salad every day.
I was about to say that, is that they teach this whole, oh, you don't want to have your calories in this, you don't want to have your calories in that. It's like, when am I having them? Because I'm also not having like substantial meals where these calories are then being reincorporated. So what am I saving them for exactly?
So, but I was saving them. And then I started exercising again, which I think was really good for me. I started doing like spin classes because that was the thing back in 2016, whatever year it was. I used to spin. If you don't know,
I remember I was like, I just want to go to America and do one of their spin classes, like the nightclub style, like the music's pumping, it's dark, the like lights are going. I was like, I just want to do that. Even when we came to America for the trip, I was like, I am doing a spin class. Let's find me one. I didn't find one. I was really sad.
Spin class is a great one time a week, or like sometimes two. If you've got like a butt of steel, yeah, you could probably do it 3 or 4 times. But my butt hurts so badly. The things they don't tell you about is the fact that the seat is not comfy.
No.
Nothing about that is comfortable, especially when they have you jumping up and down and whatever. Sorry, we got sidetracked. But yeah, so I got my life kind of in order, Instagram in order, as I like to call it. And then I was also doing a whole heap of university study. I really focused on my studies because I'd kind of taken a backseat first semester, and I was like, no, you're a good studier. Let's get everything back on track. Yep. And it worked. In all honesty, it really worked. My mental health was getting better. Like, I'd gone from being very, very anxious to I'm so preoccupied I don't even think about anything anxiety inducing anymore. And I never saw that as an issue. If I wasn't feeling it at all, I thought that suppressing was the answer. And then so I was eating healthy. Oh yeah. You don't think that maybe you should do it?
We're gonna wait for them to bubble over, then we'll deal with them.
I mean, if there's anything you learn about from my story and my health journey, is that treating the symptom rather than the cause is the dumbest thing you've ever done.
Yeah.
It will be the reason you have pitfalls is because you treat the symptom and not the cause. You don't take the holistic approach, you take the Panadol.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I had gotten all that in order, and then the summer came, and essentially I didn't have half of that load. I didn't have university anymore. I didn't have a social life because I was home. Well, I had a social life, but not as much. So my focus really shifted towards food and exercise. But I took it to the extreme because when you get to, I'm health and fitness, I can do these things now. Like, I want to be healthy. You always want to one up yourself. You want to become more healthy.
Yes.
Oh, you
Which is where
ran
that
5.
quote becomes toxic, where it's like you're not trying to compete with the next person, you're trying to compete with the last version of yourself or whatever it is. And you're like, yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I am being healthy. What is the next level of health that I can attain?
Yeah, how little of a grapefruit can I eat? How many leaves can I consume in one day because I'm a rabbit? Like, how many kilometers can I run in one day? And it just kind of turned into this just this obsession. It was this focus that I needed to be healthier and to be the epitome of health and fitness. And no one was asking that of me.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask. So for you, health and fitness looked like the salads. It looked like the tiny meals. It looked like the exercising 24/7. And where would you say you got that idea from?
So that was all social media. That was entirely social media. And the funny thing was, it wasn't even like, I'll pull you up on that, on the comment of small meals, because it wasn't small meals for me. Yeah. I was having ginormous meals. I was having like salad bowls full of lettuce.
Yeah.
And watermelon and all these things. And so I never stopped eating because I knew not eating was unhealthy.
Yeah.
Not eating is unhealthy. And I knew that. And so
not eating is the problem. Eating too much is the problem.
Well, I'm eating. That's the thing, right? So it was like, I'm eating. I must be healthy. Like I could never fall into a category of unhealthy eating habits or disordered eating habits because I'm always eating. I'm always consuming food. I'm eating at meal times, but the caloric density of what I was eating and the macronutrients that I was eating was not adequate for my body at that point, and I had no idea because no one taught me about nutrients that way. They only taught me what disordered looked like, and that was the girl who hates her own body image and never eats or only eats a grape or throws up or whatever. That wasn't.
Or it's like the flip side where it's like always eating KFC or McDonald's, always with the thick shake. That's unhealthy. This is what we have as unhealthy.
Yeah.
Healthy is eating at meal times. It is eating healthy green pyramid stuff on the pyramid, and that's it. That's what we got. These are our two. Which group do you fall into?
And mealtime, like honestly, mealtimes are just dumb in my books. Like I cannot abide by meal times. Like my hunger cues do not allow me to abide by meal times. I need snacks, but according to these rules, there were no times for snacks.
Thank you. I thought it was the only one. Or like in some of them, it'll be like, oh, you're allowed 2 snacks. So in between in between breakfast and lunch and dinner. I'm like, oh, but I need more snacks. These aren't enough snacks.
But like the 4 p.m. me needs like something sweet to finish off the 3 p.m. snack I had. Like, and like that's the hard thing about it. Because essentially when you start getting really into it and you start researching it, everyone's doing something different, and everyone's idea is the best thing. It's the next best thing.
That's my biggest problem is that it's like, am I doing keto? Am I doing vegan plant-based? Am I doing just vegan? Am I doing paleo? Where did that go? What did it stop being beneficial? Am I doing vegetarian? What am I doing?
Yeah, and you can't have 3 meals because those are too big, so they're going to increase your stomach capacity. So have 6 small meals and have at least 90 ounces of water. And I'm like, that's literally the ocean. I'm not drinking the ocean.
I'm like, wait, so is it 3 meals a day or is it 6 meals a day? Which school?
Or intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
Don't eat until noon. Make sure you got that 10-hour window or the 16-8. And but I've tried them all. And that was the thing. That was part of that next couple of months for me was literally trying every single one that I found. I went through veganism. I went through vegetarianism. I went through intermittent fasting. I went through paleo. I went through keto. Like I did them all. And each time I had convinced myself that was the next best thing. All of them.
But they convince you that's the next best thing. Like, it's you believe it's the next best thing because the last thing you tried definitely didn't work. So this has to work because this person says it works. And look at all the Facebook groups. Look at all the Instagram pages. Look at the YouTube channels. Look at so-and-so who's recommending it. It must work. So this must be my next best thing.
Yeah. And you get to the point where, like, even if the thing that you were doing works, somebody else is advocating for another thing more. So you're like, surely that must be better. Surely I need to keep going that direction. So yeah, I essentially just jumped on every bandwagon I could find. And most of that was fueled through Instagram. I remember that I was constantly scrolling through Instagram and constantly looking for different ways to change things up. Not realizing that the reason I wanted to change things up was because I wasn't content with the way they were, because I was underfed. I was malnourished, because I wasn't feeding my cravings. I wasn't fueling my body in the way that it needed for my genetics, not for somebody else's. And I didn't realize that my chasing of other diets and other fads, and I mean, I hate the word diet, but that's what it was, was actually because I wasn't content with where I was at, and my body was physiologically not happy, and was seeking elsewhere. And so, yeah, I went through quite a dark phase in my life where I was just so food oriented.
Was that tiring, like mentally being so obsessed with what you're going to eat, how that's going to affect what your body looks like, how that's going to, like, actually, that's another thing. Were you doing this out of health, or were you doing this out of aesthetics, or both?
So I'd never done it out of aesthetics. So that's one of the things that I'm privileged. Privileged is not the right word, but I have never been that person to be like, oh, I want my body to look this way. I need to, like, reduce or spot treat, whatever. It was purely to gain control of my mental health. I had gone through such a very depressed, anxious phase that I needed control. I hated that feeling. And I knew that the only way I could do it was just become healthy. I just kind of had the mentality that a healthy body would make a healthy mind.
Which isn't wrong.
No, which isn't wrong in any means. I will still advocate for that. I am the most holistic health person, because your body, it genuinely does fix and heal your mind, and that's something I advocate for. But when I was doing it, I was uneducated.
Yeah.
And when I was doing it, I was taking things too far and had no idea that I was. And so, yeah, I had kind of taken everything too far, and then realized that I had taken everything too far, but it was a bit late at that point. And so to answer your question about whether it was exhausting, it was the most exhausting thing. One, because, so one of the things you have to understand is where I was at a point where I was malnourished to the point where my body had gone into fight or flight.
Yeah.
I was in such a stressed point in my life where everything was food oriented. So that was taking my 90% of my mental capacity. Everything else was literally just trying to survive. My body was thinking about the next 3 things that it had to do, and it couldn't think about socializing. It couldn't think about emotion. It couldn't think about anything apart from when is the next meal? What do you have to do next? How can you appear normal in this situation even though you're exhausted? Yeah, and it was one of those things that was just so surreal to look back on. I'm like, how did I even live through that? Like that's not living.
That was me.
That's just rolling through the days. And then then essentially I had to do the thing that everyone hates to do, and you have to confront your dysfunction. You have to call it what it is. You have to approach it for what it is, and realize that you're not the exception to the rule.
Yes.
You are. I mean, it's hard, but like you aren't. You want to say that like you can work out 6 days a week, but like you can't. Your body physiologically cannot maintain that. Science says that we can't, and you're not the exception to that. So slap yourself across the face and say you're not the exception to the rule. You're exceptional. Don't degrade yourself.
Are you
in that way.
exceptional?
But you're not the exception. And so I then had to go through that journey of getting through that mentality, getting through that Physiologically, I had to fix that. Like I had lost a lot of weight, and like I will never put numbers on that for other people, because I am the biggest advocate of the scales don't mean crap.
Amen. I can't remember when I stopped using a scale, but at some point I had to be like, okay, this is helping no one. First of all, what do you need to know this for? Like, there is literally no reason I needed to know this except for myself. And I would always try and tell myself that what I see on the scale won't influence, like, my eating or how I exercise because, because I'm like, no, you have a healthy relationship with food and you exercise for health, for good mental health, and for you. Yeah, I distinctly remember at one point during uni, because uni was probably the time when my weight fluctuated the most.
Like, oh yeah, it's for everyone. It's your young adult years.
My goodness. And so I remember being like, okay, I started working out again, eating better. It was usually either around the start of the semester because I'm like, no, this semester we're going to do better than last. We're going to be on top of everything. We're going to get everything together. We're going to eat healthy because your body needs to be fueled well to do what it needs to do.
Nice New Year's reunion. Nice.
Literally. This would happen so many times throughout the year. And I remember being like, okay, I just need to get to X amount of kilos because when I was at X amount of kilos, that was a good weight. Like I looked good and I was happy with that. When I tell you, it's been like 4 years, and I don't think I have never gotten back to that weight. Like I just cannot. And this isn't to say that I don't exercise or anything like that. And this is something that I've had to realize is that the older I've gotten, the more my body has changed and my body composition has changed. Yeah. And I can't attach a number to when I'm going to be happy with what my body looks like or when I'm going to be happy with or like prime optimal health and fitness for me looks like X amount of kilos because it doesn't.
And I am the biggest representation of that. Like you take me back 5 years, like I am more toned and happy mentally and physically, and stronger. Oh my goodness, my strength, like that's one of the things that fuels my fitness.
Speak on it.
I want to be strong enough to like lift my patients. I want to be strong enough to push a cow. Like these are weird flexes that I desire to do, but
Dr.
I could not do
it.
Yeah. And my strength is tenfold what it was then. But that came at the expense of a number on a scale. Yeah. I needed to be more. And I cannot stress that the only person who really needs to know that number is your GP.
Yes.
And that's just for a medical record. Like they don't care. I mean, like obviously you're going to have flip sides where it's going to have medical complications. So things like diabetes, things like malnourishment. Yes, those people need to know those things because they can approach them in such a way. You don't. It's not valuable to you because even though you can say, I'm gonna, it doesn't matter to me. Well, then why even look at it?
Why even check? Yeah, exactly.
If it doesn't matter that much, and that's the thing. Like this is a fight on your own kind of your own territory. You have to realize that you are very much capable of convincing your own mind of certain things. That a punishment is actually a reward, or that exercising is the exact thing that you wanted to do.
Yeah. Like, actually, I was going to ask, what are your values now around health and fitness, like food, exercise, that kind of thing?
Listen to your body.
Amen.
It will tell you what it needs. You lie to it. You punish it, of course it's going to retaliate. Yeah. Just like a child would. You do have, I mean, sometimes it takes time to find them, but you do have innate hunger cues. You do have innate cravings for certain things. You're iron deficient. Sometimes you crave red meat. Sometimes you crave fish. Sometimes you crave spinach. Your body will tell you what it needs.
Or chalk.
That one we've got to work on. That one's just...
I don't do it anymore, but definitely when I was
That's
younger.
a bad, like, mineral deficiency we need to work on. But yeah, obey your body. Like, this is one of the things that, like, I really push when I'm feeling unwell. When I kind of start to feel like, oh, either I've got the flu or I'm just feeling overdone or I'm feeling very anxious, I cut out the things that are external stimulants. So things like caffeine. I don't drink coffee when I start to get sick or when I start to get super anxious because you don't need that extra stimulus telling you how to feel.
Yes.
What you need is you need to be kind of in tune with yourself and be like, okay, without caffeine, without this drug, how do I actually feel? Without Panadol, what's going on?
What does my body say to me?
Yeah, and that all goes back to like the treating the symptom and not the cause. Like, it's like taking Panadol for a headache, when in reality the headache could have been, was it the caffeine? Was it the lack of water you had?
Your hair tied too high.
Yeah, was it the lack of sleep? Was it your bun too tight? Like, what was it? And you will always have reoccurring symptoms if you don't treat the cause. And so you're just constantly pumping yourself with Panadol or caffeine, trying to cover these things up. So if you take time to listen to your body, if you take time to say, what am I actually, like, am I still actually hungry, or do I just want to finish what's on my plate?
Ooh, it's a big one.
Yeah. Am I actually hungry right now, or am I going to be hungry in 20 minutes? Or I'm actually hungry at 11, even though it's not lunchtime. Can I even have lunch at 11? Like, is that allowed?
Yeah. I feel like a really big one for me was eating to prevent hunger.
Oh yeah, I'm not a happy hangry person. I would always be like, I gotta keep up that goal.
I think it was at the start of the year / when I first started my job. We would have 6 a.m. shifts. So I would wake up at like 4:30, 5 if I really wanted to sleep in. Because it's like I need to leave the house by 5:30 to like have the journey of driving to work and then walking to the car and yada, yada, yada. 4:30. And so I'm awake at this time and I'm getting ready. On any other day, am I waking up to eat at 4:30? Like my body's really good at getting on a schedule, right? So I'm the kind of person who's like around 9 o'clock, I'm starting to get tired. 7 o'clock, the latest, my body's already starting to wake up. I get hungry at certain times. So on the weeks when I would be doing these 6 a.m. shifts and I'm waking up at 4:30, I'm like, I'm not hungry. But I might be hungry in 2 hours when I'm still working and can't go for a break yet. So just in case, I will eat to prevent the potential hunger in 2 hours.
Be there. And you're low-key overeating at that point as well, because you're like, I'm not hungry, but like, I
need to not be hungry then. And
also, like, how do we...
Like, it was a thing of like, your body is also still kind of digesting dinner at that time.
Yeah.
Because also I still would have dinner at the same time I would, even if I was waking up later in the day, except now I'm waking up and I'm having breakfast because I don't want to be hungry at 6:30.
Yeah, literally been there. Like, I had the glamorous life of Woolworths. And so when I have like my early starts, I know that I'm not going to get my first break until 11.
Yeah.
And so I either have breakfast at 6, which I'm not hungry at 6, or at 11. And I was like, let's do the 6 because, 11.
Prevent hunger.
I can't serve customers when I'm hangry.
No.
And honestly, I found a way to avoid that entirely. And now I just put a smoothie in my water bottle, and so I can sip my breakfast while I'm working. They're totally fine with it. And I'm like, I outsmarted the system and my hunger.
Yay. I feel that. Wait, yes. Okay, listen to your body. I was trying to think. I was like, did you answer the question? And then
the epitome of how we talk, literally all the time. It's like, did we answer the question we came here with?
What did we start like?
Let go.
Okay. So one thing that I want to say, so you said you were influenced a lot by social media. I guess my biggest thing with this as well is that I see how the health and wellness industry have an impact on how we
Yeah.
see ourselves and how we like see our relationship with food. So would you say it was the health and wellness industry through social media, or just like people wanting to be influencers on social media is what influenced you?
I think it was like I think it was a combination of both of those things. I don't think I think there are a lot of influences that I started to kind of cling on to and be like, this is what I need to be like. This is what I need to aspire to be. Which I thought was, well, which I now think is pretty dangerous because, as you know, like when you're looking at influencers, you're seeing 5% of their life.
At angles, edited, the filter, everything.
Like, and like, I think my favorite thing was, I saw a post the other day that was about this girl being like, how to spot reduce that lower piece of that lower little bit of fat at the bottom of your abdomen. I'm like, first off,
Was
go
was
ahead.
that a video?
Yeah, it was like an ab workout, and it was like how to like get rid of that lower fat. And I was like, first off, one, you can't spot reduce. It's not a thing. It's all fat.
This gets said so often, yet no one listens.
Your body will kind of lose fat in different places. Some people carry it in their arms. Some people carry it in their legs. A, it's good for you. Like, you need a bit of fat on you.
Exactly.
And B, the fat that she was trying to point out, so many girls are trying to lose to get their shredded abs or whatever. Ladies, we are not supposed to have abs 100% of the time, or any of the time at all. I don't think you realize that visceral fat across your abdomen is the thing protecting your uterus. It is the thing that is preserving life and sending signals to your hormones to say, hey, you can hold life.
Amen.
As soon as you lose that, your body says, no, she can barely take care of herself. How can we expect her to take care of a child?
Yeah.
And so your hormones stop. And you have to realize that it's not just about aesthetic at that point. Your hormonal health is a big, big part of it. And I've copped that. I've definitely seen the effects of that. And it's those kind of, I'm sure she was just giving an ab routine. I'm sure it was just like another post for people to like.
But it's how they're going about getting engagement.
When you trigger people like that, because they trigger people in such a way that they know that everyone has that.
Yeah.
Everyone has a little bit.
And everyone's trying to get rid of it.
Because it's important.
Yes.
And it's small things like that aggravate me. And I think you also end up looking at Instagram, and you start comparing, like I found this especially in the fitness side of it, that you start comparing your fitness from week to week. But again, as a woman, you should not be comparing your fitness week to week.
You cannot.
You should be comparing your fitness month to month.
Yes.
You cycle. You will have waves and fluctuations, again, the magical hormones.
Yes.
Where your strength will increase and decrease, and that is okay. But if you are comparing yourself and sometimes punishing yourself or pushing yourself too far during weeks where really your body cannot handle anymore, you're not being healthy. Your health is being compromised at that point rather than being aided. So I think it's that contextualized gap that you end up having when you're looking at Instagram and not realizing there are a lot of components that people aren't looking at. You're not looking at where they are in their cycle. You're not looking at what their health is. You're not looking at what they did the rest of that day or the rest of that week or what their bone density is. Like, there's just so many things that you don't factor in.
I think my biggest one that gets me is that people will have an acai bowl before they want to touch bread or have hash brown or anything like that. And I'm like, that's not how this works. Like, do you realize how much sugar is in an acai bowl? Like, you're doing the same thing. You're not avoiding it just because it's fruit.
And it's hard though, because like, in a sense, like there's two components to it, right? So you got like, if you're looking at just weight, yes, calories in, calories out, that's how it works. If you're burning more than you're consuming, yes, you will lose weight. But that's for your physical weight. Whereas for your, or for your physical health rather, for your mental health and your physiological health, you look at your nutrients.
Yeah.
You look at what kind of nutrients you're getting. You're looking at what kind of oils, what kind of like vitamins and minerals and macronutrients and micronutrients. And those are the things that make up your physiological health, that help your blood and help your body functions and help your mental health. Like there's so many aspects of it. But then you get these people on Instagram who are like, you know what? I'm going to have the keto bulletproof coffee that's like coffee with a stick of butter. And I'm like,
does that not stress me out? I'm like, what are we achieving here? Like, I mean, I guess I kind of get it's like the whole acidity thing. So like the oil balances it out or whatever. But
well, I don't know. There's a lot to it, but it's like it's the same kind of thing. It's like why are we advocating this over a normal cup of coffee with milk?
Yeah, honestly though, why? What is the difference? No, I think when it becomes, like you said, when you look at it as like just purely trying to lose weight, it's really easy to buy into a lot of things and believe that a lot of foods you should stay away from and that kind of thing. Yeah. Whereas when you start looking at it from a health point of view, you're like, oh my God, it's a whole different field game. I can eat totally different food.
And that's why I got into it with the whole like listening to your body thing, because I ended up realizing that my body didn't feel all that great when I had certain things. Yeah. But I also learned that it did feel really good on other things. And like if you're not trying out the spectrum, if you're not kind of tasting a little bit of everything, you won't know if popcorn can make you feel like crap, but cheese pizza can make you feel great. Yeah. And that totally could be the case. Yeah. But you don't know if you're just buying into what everyone's saying. Yeah. If you're just buying into that bulletproof coffee is the next best thing.
Like this is it. This will change your life.
when did you become such a follower of someone that you kind of lost sight of yourself at that point? Like,
I think that's another thing, is that everything in terms of that is so fast paced and it's changing all the time. Like I remember in high school, the cool thing to have was like, you know, the V line, like between, obviously now I know that it's like when you have really like your abs and your oblique. Oh, yeah. And then you've got and so it's like everyone was trying to get the V. Like that's what it was, because that was really cool. Where has that gone? No one could care less about that. Now we all want the booties. And it's so funny because all the, like I always see on like Instagram and Twitter is that all these male trainers are like, as like even like it's mainly male trainers that I've seen speak out on it. They're like, female clients won't want to train with you if they don't feel like you're training their booty. Like if they feel like you're not, if they don't feel like you're training their booty, they're not here for the strength everywhere else. Like, like holistic strength. I don't want none of that. I want holistic strength and a booty. And that's hilarious because it's like, okay, when is that going to come out of fashion? What's going to be in next?
Yeah, literally, like I can't even call it. Like no one expected cauliflower to be like 60,000 different things. Like cauliflower is now a pizza base. Like
it's chicken wings,
it's rice, it's buffalo wings. Like who told cauliflower it could be all of those things? Like I don't even think it wants to be all of those things.
It's overwhelmed.
Like, the poor vegetable, just let it be. Like my gosh.
No, I feel that.
But yeah.
Okay, so what advice would you give to anyone going on this journey who's like, hey, maybe food and I aren't as healthy as we thought we were?
I think first off, take toll of how you talk about food and how you talk about your body.
That's big.
Start there. Start with, and not just, I'm not just saying like, oh, don't call people fat. I'm saying, don't call yourself fat, but also don't call yourself fat around other people. Because as soon as you say that, you say, oh, I don't like this part of my body. Oh, I don't like how I look in this way. Even though you pointed that towards yourself, that's now planted a seed in somebody else. If you don't
If you're okay to
Yeah.
say back to, I've noticed this, and I've noticed this in myself, is that what I struggle with is what I will notice on other people and can pick at. Like in my, I'll
Yeah.
do it mentally in my head, obviously, because I'm like, oh my God, like I never want to do that to someone else. But like in my head, I will do it.
Yeah.
And I had to be like, wait, hold up, wait a minute. You now
That's
need to
rude.
look at how you speak to yourself. Like you now need to be more mindful of how you speak to yourself about this certain thing, because on a subconscious level, I don't know. I won't notice my own internal dialogue, but when I can say, like, think it about someone else, that's when I'm like, oh, I've definitely been saying this to myself first. And this has definitely been something
Yeah.
I've been picking apart at first
Yeah.
before it's even gotten to the point where I feel comfortable enough to pick apart someone else's body about that.
Exactly. And then this is what I mean. It's like your internal dialogue, even if you say it in a room full of people and it's always pointed towards you, you're planting seeds in other people.
Yeah.
If you're saying, I don't like the fact that I'm not toned, that person's thinking, oh wow, if they're not toned, but I think they're really toned, I must be super untoned. Like
Yeah.
you start making a comparison when I know it wasn't your intention, but it's happened.
Yeah.
And that's like, you need to really just reframe how you start thinking and start talking about food. Stop looking at food as a reward. When did food stop becoming a necessity to keep you alive and start becoming something you had to earn? When did that happen?
A new like parenting thing that I've seen that I think is really cool. Random, yes, these are things I see in my timeline. Is that like literally, but is that people have stopped rewarding their kids with dessert. Like they're like, don't use dessert as a reward. But it's like coming from a whole bunch of angles, but also in how they want to build that their kids' relationship with food. So it's like, no, if we were, whether or not you eat what's on your plate, we were going to have ice cream after this.
Yeah.
Not, you must finish what's on your plate to get ice cream. Because then that's when you're creating this rewards-based system around food. And your child will grow up thinking that's normal. And it's like, obviously this has been something like you can relate to that. Like, I feel like we can all relate to that. Like, it was just what was normal. It was like,
yeah, it's what you do. It's like,
you didn't finish dinner? Bet your dinner's still
no dessert.
We're having dessert. Like, but I just, I loved the awareness that like parents are getting now that like, oh wait, no, that's actually not creating a healthy relationship for my child with food. If I do it like that, it's like, cool, finish your food, don't finish your food, but we're having dessert.
Yeah, and it's a reward punishment system that stems into like far beyond your childhood years and into your adult years, because you then flip it and it starts becoming a reward and exercise starts becoming your punishment.
Yes.
And so I ate this thing, therefore I must exercise. And the thing about that punishment mindset, especially when it comes to exercise, is if you are facilitating or motivating yourself to exercise from a place of punishment, and then your kind of your response to that punishment stimulus is further physiological punishment, because that's what exercise is. It tests your muscles. It is a punishment. You've now created this feedback loop of just punishment. How is that sustainable health? How is that going to help you actually pursue a holistic approach and feel better about yourself? Like, I don't see any point at which you are having positive input. Nothing about that is positive. It's just a punishment cycle.
Yes. In which case it's like, how long can you keep that going for? And you won't actually, I found personally when I tried the whole, I wouldn't say I tried, I feel like it was my natural default where it's like, oh, you ate crap. Okay, so now we're going to have to outdo that, because, you know, I understood calories in, calories out. I got that. So I was like, ooh, too many in. So now we have to outdo that by doing out. But then it was like my motivation while I was there wasn't to get stronger, wasn't to get healthier. It was like, no, you need to work off what you ate. And it's like at the point where I don't feel like it anymore, or I am just like I'm just unmotivated. I don't want, like, it's just not sustainable. You get to a point where you're like, sure, right? Like, what's the worst that could happen?
Surely, she'll be fine. It's a really vicious cycle. Like, Watch how you talk about it. Watch, and you also have to realize that there have got to be people who are triggered around you and you have no idea. Like, a lot of people didn't know that I had food on my mind 100% of the time. And so when they would talk about it in such negative or a positive way, I'll be like, oh, that has so many calories, or that blah, 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 like, or that's super unhealthy. Like, that was a trigger.
Yeah.
And they had no idea, and that was never their intention. But you have to realize that, like, the way you talk about it can influence the people around you. And if you're not prepared to defend the way you just spoke about it, why are you saying it?
Yeah, 100%. It's funny because I distinctly remember like this, and I don't know why this is stuck in my mind, but I was at work this one time, and I can't remember, I was waiting for something to finish, and I was talking to one of the ladies, and I was like, oh, I think I've gained a little bit of weight. Like I was like, oh, I think I've gained a little bit of weight. She goes, stop it. You look absolutely beautiful. And I wasn't even saying it in like a self-depreciating way. It's just that my favorite jeans were feeling a little restrictive in that moment. And I was like to her, no. I was like, no. I don't mean it like that. I literally mean my jeans are tight. Like, I have definitely gained. And I was like, and I'm pretty sure it's muscle. Like, it's fine. Like, it's not a negative thing. But from that moment, I was like, oh, okay. So now I need to be careful of how I speak about things like this. Because in as much as I knew that I meant, oh, girl, like, you're getting some thigh muscles. Like, look at you go. But also your jeans, sad face, they're probably about to go. All she heard was someone like saying they'd gained weight, and she automatically assumed that I would have thought that was negative, because I think a lot of girls my age, because she was an older woman, a lot of girls my age would be like, oh, I gained weight, which is like, that's
and it's all reframing your compliment, like reframing the way you talk, and well, that's the other thing that why if we can reframe our compliments to people instead of, I love your hair, I love your butt, like, I love the way that dress looks on you. Can we not just say, I love like the joy in your eyes right now, or I think you have the most contagious laughter. I think you look so beyond happy. Like, I would much rather someone look at the health within my heart and within my mind than my physical ever-changing presence. I don't think that I think we are so beyond physical appearance right now. I think we can really approach this differently.
Not to mention, complimenting someone's physical health, actually, like, you don't know what could be going on, like, beneath the surface. I was told I was
healthy. Like, when I was probably at my sickest point mentally, I was told I looked really good. Yeah. And that was so dangerous, because that was a positive feedback to a negative thing.
Yeah. There's this spoken word poem. I think I'm actually probably going to post it. Like, I was thinking, I was like, oh, I might actually post this on the timeline. But it's this girl, and and she titled it "When the Fat Girl Gets an Eating Disorder." And she spoke about how everyone was complimenting her weight loss, but no one knew what was happening behind the scenes in terms of her weight loss. So I always make it a point, even if I have noticed that someone has lost weight or whatever the case is, I will not be like, oh my God, I am not gonna compliment your physique any more than I did before. I am gonna compliment your outfit, I'm gonna compliment anything else, but I'm so cautious of how I speak of someone's physique, because I'm like, I don't know what's actually going on. Like, unless I actually know that you're exercising, I'm like, ooh, look at you go, look at your little muscles popping, kind of thing. But if I have no context for what your change in where your change in physique has come from, I will not compliment it, because I feel like that can always be, you never know where that could lead.
And even then, like, I think that's part of my, like, I keep saying, holistic approach to fitness and health, is that I will always ask how it makes you feel rather than how it makes you look. Yeah. Like, if you have just started a new training style, I want to be like, what's that done for you mentally? Like, what has that done for you? Not physiologically. I don't care how many centimeters your butt grew or how big your biceps are. How did that help you mentally? Are you enjoying getting up at 5 a.m. and getting your butt kicked by a trainer? Or are you like, because that will give you a better
every time
sense.
I go training.
Hey, but you love it. You know you do. You like.
I do. I'm
Oh.
like, she yelled so much and she made me pick up so much.
You know that's the only way that it'll actually get done is if you have someone who's like, yeah, you can do it, but go.
Literally though.
Yeah, I don't know. I think listening to your body and asking people how they feel rather than how they feel they look.
Yeah.
Because
I think people will always feel great with what, like, when their physique changes in that sense, if it's negative or positive. So I think it's really great. Like you said, like, how does that make you feel is a really big one. Do you feel like this is sustainable? That kind of thing is like, oh, okay, you can get a feel for where someone is at, as opposed to just being like, how does it make you feel? Because I think it's like, obviously this person is doing whatever they're doing because this is the outcome that they wanted, so they're going to be happy with the outcome. But then it's like, there could be a lot of shame associated with that. There could be a lot of anxiety a lot of anxiety associated with that, because it's like, oh my god, how am I going to be able to keep it on if I eat this? Will it undo everything I've done? Oh my god, can I enjoy XYZ? Like that kind of thing. So I guess my last question for you would be, this is our finisher, what has been your favorite lesson that you've learned?
Oh, my favorite lesson. Bella, do you know what my favorite lesson is? Come here. My favorite lesson. I think that I'm not the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
I've said it before, but I'm not. And I think that's been. Yeah, go.
You use that for like health and fitness, and I always use that to people when it comes to dating. I am like, you are not going, except I'm like, you're not going to be the exception, you're going to be the rule. So you're not going to be the one who their toxic ex turns his life around and comes back and gets them. You're going to be the rule where he doesn't turn his life around and you have to move on.
Literally, like,
you're not going to be the exception when he leaves.
Literally. Like, humble yourself. Understand that, like, yes, you do have to put a lot of hours in to get results. You do have to put a lot of time into your health. You do have to put a lot of money into your health. Like, you are you're an investment, not an expense.
Yes.
It's that simple. Like, especially when it came to my health, like, yes, it meant sometimes I had to buy the supplements that were more expensive. But those were the things that I needed in that point in time to get my health to a point. And so I would always just recite to myself, I'm like, my sad uni bank account is depleting, but I am an investment, not an expense. And that's when you see that sustainability come in, because you know that you're worth it, and you know that it's not a short-term thing. It's a long-term thing.
No, it's a lifelong thing. That was actually one of the things and biggest takeaways I took from the first boot camp I ever went to. And I still absolutely love what they're about, is that their biggest motto in life was that, like, your health is not an expense. You can either pay for it now or you can pay for it later. So you can either put the systems in place now, buy the more expensive food because maybe the frozen meals are so much easier for you to figure out and eat, or you can meal prep. If it's getting a gym membership, if it's getting an at-home workout, if it's getting those weights, you can either pay for those now or you can pay for it later in other ways. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, yes, that is so true. Because it's like, I can either get disciplined and get everything in place now, or later on I'm gonna now have to be like, okay, like, you know, those people who go for their 50 and they're going for their checkup and their doctor's like, so your triglycerides.
Yeah, they're through the roof.
And it's like, right, okay, cool. And they're like, so your blood glucose levels. And so now you're trying to
your cholesterol.
Yeah. And so now it's like, oh, now I need someone to like make my meals and help me work out and do this and this. Whereas when you were younger and you maybe had a little bit more energy, a little bit more time, you could have gotten the systems in place ready to go. And
it's so much harder to undo these things than it is to do them.
Yeah.
Like, just do, and like, even if like exercising in the generic sense at the gym or at personal training isn't your thing, dance can be your thing.
Yes.
Swimming can be your thing. Surfing can be your thing. Walking can be your thing. Like, I don't want us to box exercises as the gym. Exercise is something that pumps the blood through your body. It helps your heart. It helps your mental clarity. And it serves a purpose in your health. That will mean something different for everyone.
Yes.
And so, yes, you can lift weights or you can do ballet.
Yeah.
Don't say that one is exercise and one isn't. They both serve the same functional purpose for your body, and that's an investment.
Exactly. As long as your body is moving in some way, shape, or form, that works for you. And that can change over time. Like, I don't think it needs to stay the same. Like, I used to love running. Like, running was my thing. Oh, yeah. It would clear my
cardio
mind.
Running.
Yeah. Like, even to this day, like, I still love running. But that's just not what I do anymore. Not because running is terrible, but because I'm in a different place. And now I want to
my goals changed. That's what it was for me. I was a cardio bunny, and I could not be a cardio bunny anymore, so I switched to weights. I switched to functional fitness. I switched to Pilates. I switched to yoga. Not that I'm any good at it because I have no flexibility. And
some of the yoga workouts on Pinterest, I'm like, who can do this?
Wrestling like that, like
no one's leg should do that.
Is your leg somewhere like lost? Like the partner yoga, that's the one that gets me. The partner yoga where there's like a girl and a guy, and I'm like, this is too intimate for me. Like, I don't even want to do this with myself. Let alone with somebody else. Like, nothing's cute about this.
Who does this?
For fun? Not me.
I love this conversation. Thank you for joining me.
And thanks for having me. I'm hoping whoever's watching has gotten something out of our useless but wonderful kind of banter.
I'm like, this was every conversation.
I was going to say, I don't know if anyone gets our humor, but like, we get our humor.
I often think that, like, especially when I had the girls on last time, I was like, ooh. Like, even when I listened back to it, I was like, this is hilarious. I was like, oh no, what if no one else?
You think you're the funniest person in the room, and you're like, I am so funny. I can drop out and be a comedian. Get into a room full of people, and they're like,
right. I often thought that in uni, though. I was like, I could drop out and be a comedian. And then in fourth year, I got a certificate at our ball for, what was it? Something along the lines of banter, funny, class clown. And I was like, I got a class clown certificate at university.
Practically a degree, like, it's fine.
Literally, I was like, it's certified, it's legit, I'm a whole clown, it is what it is.
This is why I have friends who humble me, who say, stop it, you're not funny. And then I'm like, okay, I'll be a vet instead.
Often. You love dad jokes. And you'll say one and you'll burst out laughing. And I'm like, oh my God. I have to deal with.
In another life, I'm coming back as like a 40-year-old dad.
And you're going to wear the Jesus sandals? Like, you know.
Yes, like a white tee, like Jesus sandals and a backwards cap, and be like,
yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're problematic.